Cuando la humanidad descubrió a sus esclavos, la venganza no se hizo esperar. Ethan Brooks stood on the bridge of the starship Horizon, staring at the swirling colors of the distant planet below. It was unlike anything he had ever seen before. The planet's surface glimmered with green and blue, covered in forests and strange cities that seemed to float above the land. He could feel the tension in the room. This was a planet that no human had ever visited, and what they found there could change everything. "Captain's scans are showing signs of intelligent life," said Lily Thompson, the ship's xenobiologist. She was leaning over the console, her brown hair tied back in a tight ponytail, her eyes wide with excitement. "Structures, movement, dock. There are people there, but it's hard to understand. They're not like anything in our database." Ethan rubbed his chin. "Life forms that advanced, but not on our charts. That's unusual." "Could they be sentient?" "They have language patterns," Lily replied. "I think they understand complex ideas. And they might be enslaved." Ethan's eyes narrowed. "Enslaved? How can you tell that from orbit?" Lily pulled up a hologram of the planet. Small humanoid shapes moved quickly between massive metal towers. Chains and cages could be seen in some of the larger cities. "Look at how they are treated. They move in groups, always under control. They avoid certain areas where armed creatures patrol. Their behavior, it's consistent with a population under strict control." Jake Collins, the ship's pilot, leaned back in his chair. "So we're talking about slaves. Great. Humanity finds another planet and now we get to play heroes?" "It's not that simple," Ethan said, looking at Jake. "We don't know what those creatures guarding them are capable of. We don't even know what's holding them in control." Hannah Diaz, the ship's engineer, raised an eyebrow. "And what do you suggest, Captain? Do we just land and hand out freedom certificates? I'm not sure the Galactic Council would approve us stirring up trouble with some unknown species." Ethan turned to face them. "We need to know what's happening down there first. But I have a feeling this isn't just a simple case. We may be looking at a civilization under oppression. And if that's true, we might be the first humans they've seen. First humans who can help." The ship descended slowly into the atmosphere. The forest stretched out below them like green oceans, and the cities sparkled with strange light. The closer they got, the more the patterns of control became clear. The humanoid beings, tall, with smooth blue skin and glowing eyes, moved quickly and silently. They looked exhausted, afraid, yet they worked together in small groups to avoid the armed guards who patrolled their cities. Lily leaned closer to the view screen. "They're intelligent, Ethan. They understand their situation, and I think they're scared of the ones controlling them." Ethan nodded. "We'll need a team on the ground. Carefully. Minimal interference at first. Lily, you'll go with me. Jake, Hannah, you'll stay here and monitor communications and tech signals. Let's keep this quiet until we know exactly what we're dealing with." When they landed, the air was thick and humid. The human stepped out into a world that was both beautiful and frightening. The trees glowed faintly in the twilight, and strange creatures moved silently through the undergrowth. But it was the city ahead that held their attention. Massive towers rose from the ground, connected by bridges of shining metal. Armed guards, tall and powerful with armor that reflected the dying light, patrolled the streets below. Ethan motioned for Lily to follow him. "Keep your distance. Watch the people first. We don't know how they'll react." They hid behind a rock formation at the edge of the city. From there, they could see the Zorath, the enslaved humanoids, moving cautiously through the streets. The clothing was simple, worn, and all of them carried marks of labor. Some had scars, others had chains. But their eyes, Ethan noticed their eyes. They were bright, full of thought and hope, even under oppression. Lily whispered, "They're not animals, Ethan. They're people, just like us." Ethan watched as a group of Zorath tried to move supplies from one tower to another. A Griven guard, a large reptilian creature with glowing red eyes, shouted orders, and the Zorath froze. One of the Zorath, a young female named Mira, looked directly at the guard, her jaw tight. She didn't speak, but her defiance was clear. "That one, she's different," Lily said. "She's not broken." "She's strong." Ethan nodded. "We'll watch her, learn their patterns, and we'll figure out how to help." Over the next few days, the humans observed the Zorath from hidden positions. They learned that the Griven, the alien overlords, controlled every aspect of life. The Zorath were forced to work in the towers, maintain the technology, and even serve as soldiers when needed. Punishment was severe for anyone who resisted. But despite this, the humans noticed something extraordinary. The Zorath were resilient. They communicated quietly, helped each other, and sometimes small acts of defiance appeared. One evening, as the two humans watched, a Zorath boy tried to sneak past a guard. He was caught and thrown to the ground, but another Zorath, an older man named KL, stepped in and distracted the guard long enough for the boy to escape. Ethan felt a strange mix of admiration and sadness. These beings had lived under fear for so long, yet they still found courage. "We could help them," Lily said softly. "If we teach them a few things, if we give them tools, knowledge, they could fight back." Ethan frowned. "We have to be careful. If the Griven discover us, they might punish the Zorath even worse. But I see what you mean. They're strong, smart, maybe stronger than we think." On the fourth day, a small opportunity arose. Mira, the young Zorath woman, was caught trying to communicate with a hidden group. Ethan and Lily had been watching from above. They decided to intervene, not directly, but by creating a distraction. Using a small drone, they disrupted the Griven patrol's signals, giving Mira a chance to escape. She ran through the streets, barely avoiding capture, and for the first time, her eyes met Ethan's from above. There was recognition, almost like a spark of hope. Ethan realized then that this mission was no longer just observation. Humanity had entered the story of the Zorath, and nothing could turn back. That night, Ethan and Lily returned to the horizon. Jake and Hannah were waiting, tension written across their faces. "Any progress?" Jake asked. "We've seen enough," Ethan said. "They are intelligent, they are strong, and they are being enslaved by a force far beyond them. We need a plan. But more than that, we need allies among them. Mira and Kyle could be the key." Hannah shook her head. "You're talking about teaching them to fight, aren't you?" Ethan looked at her calmly. "Yes, but carefully. We can't just give them weapons. We have to give them knowledge, strategy, ways to resist without being destroyed. And we have to do it secretly." Lily nodded. "I've already started thinking about small lessons. Communication, coordination, some of the things humans take for granted. They can learn quickly. They want freedom. They just need a way to reach it." Jake leaned back, crossing his arms. "Freedom always comes with a price. Are we ready to pay it for them?" Ethan stared out at the planet below. The cities glowed under the fading light, and the shadows of the Griven patrolled endlessly. "We don't have a choice anymore. We can't turn away. Humanity has the chance to do something right here, something that matters." As they prepared for their next mission, Ethan felt a mixture of fear and hope. This was the beginning, he knew. The beginning of a story that could change not just the Zorath, but the place of humanity in the galaxy. And somewhere deep in the streets below, Mira and Kale were already dreaming of freedom, unaware that the first seeds had been planted, seeds that could one day grow into a revolution. Night fell on Virelia, and the humans and Zorath alike waited for the dawn, a dawn that might bring danger, hope, and the first true taste of rebellion. And for the first time, Ethan felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. The thrill of knowing that humanity could be the spark for change in a universe that had forgotten what it meant to be free. The next morning, Ethan Brooks and Lily Thompson prepared to return to the planet's surface. The sun of Virelia rose slowly over the glowing forests, casting long shadows across the cities. From orbit, the towers of the Griven loomed like dark giants, but Ethan could see movement in the streets. small groups of Zorath cautiously moving through their daily routines. "Today we made contact," Ethan said quietly to Lily as they checked their equipment. "But we need to be careful. They can't know humans are helping them yet." Lily nodded, her eyes serious. "I've been thinking about Mira. She's brave and smart. If we gain her trust, she could become the first real ally on the ground." They landed near the outskirts of one of the Zorath cities, in a small clearing surrounded by tall trees. Ethan and Lily stepped out, moving slowly and silently toward the city's edge. Every shadow seemed dangerous. Every sound was a reminder of the Griven's control. From a distance, they spotted Mira. She was with a small group of Zorath, carrying supplies from one tower to another. Her posture was cautious but confident. Lily whispered, "That's her. Stay low. Let her see you, but not too close."
Ethan signaled and they moved behind a low wall.
A few moments later, a guard passed near the group. Mira froze, and the others scattered slightly. Ethan and Lily saw her take a deep breath, steadying herself. She looked human in many ways, but her glowing blue eyes and tall frame marked her as different. Still, Ethan thought, the fear in her face was something anyone could understand. Lily made a small signal with her hand. A tiny drone, no bigger than a bird, flew toward Mira, carrying a small package. Mira noticed it, hesitated, and then carefully picked it up. Inside was a simple device that could transmit messages safely. It was their first step in establishing communication. That evening, Mira found a quiet place away from the guards. She touched the device, and a voice spoke softly.
"Hello, Mira. My name is Lily."
"We are here to help. We are your friends." Mira's eyes widened. She looked around as if expecting the Griven to appear, but the forest remained still. "Friends," she whispered. "Yes." "You are friends?" "Yes," Lily said gently. "We want to help you and your people. You don't have to be afraid of us. We want to teach you things that can help you survive and fight back if needed." Mira's hands trembled as she touched the device again. "Fight? Back? They will kill us if we try." Ethan's voice came through the device, calm and firm. "We understand. That's why we will teach you slowly. We will not put you in danger. You have strength already, but we can help you plan carefully." Mira took a deep breath, her blue eyes reflecting a spark of hope.
"I want to try. I want my people to be free."
At night, she returned to her small group of friends and family. She told them quietly about the humans, carefully avoiding mention of their names. Some were scared, some were skeptical, but the hunger for freedom was strong. Slowly, they began to listen. Over the next few days, Ethan and Lily returned in secret, bringing small gifts and lessons. They taught the Zorath how to communicate safely, how to coordinate movements without being seen, and how to understand the patrols of the Griv. Each lesson was small, careful, but the effect was immediate. The Zorath began to move more confidently, to help each other in ways that went unnoticed by their oppressors. Kael, an older Zorath who had been working in the towers for decades, became a natural leader. He learned quickly, observing the human strategies and applying them to the group. He taught the others how to watch the guards, how to warn each other quietly, and how to protect themselves if someone was caught. Ethan watched from the shadows one evening as Kael led a group to retrieve supplies from a tower. They moved silently, coordinated, and avoided detection. Ethan felt a surge of pride. These people who had been oppressed for so long were learning to fight for themselves in ways humans often took for granted. Lily turned to Ethan. "They're learning fast." "Smarter than I expected," Ethan nodded. "Humans are smart, but so are they. They just needed the chance to see that. Now they have it." Meanwhile, the Griven were noticing small changes. Guards reported that some Zorath were moving differently, communicating in secret, and avoiding punishment in clever ways. The Griven grew suspicious, but they could not figure out what was happening. One day, Mira came to Ethan and Lily with a question. "We want to help more. We want to fight back, even in small ways. But how do we know we won't make it worse?" Ethan crouched to meet her eyes. "We take it slow. Step by step. You don't have to be brave all at once. Each small action is part of a bigger plan. You will know when it's safe, and you won't be alone. Over the following week, the humans taught the Zorath small technologies that could help them survive and resist. Simple tools, communication devices, and ideas about teamwork and strategy. They were careful to keep it secret. If the Gribbon discovered it, the punishment could be deadly. As the Zorath learned, their confidence grew. They began to talk quietly among themselves about ideas of freedom. Kale reminded them that courage was not the absence of fear, but the strength to act despite it. Mira became a symbol of hope for many, showing that even the young could be brave. Ethan and Lily watched this transformation with awe. They had expected the Zorath to be grateful, but the humans were surprised by the depth of their resilience. These beings, who had been enslaved for generations, had not lost their spirit. They were capable of far more than anyone had imagined, but the work was dangerous. One night, a patrol of Griven nearly discovered a group of Zorath communicating with the humans. Mira acted quickly, hiding the devices and leading her people silently into the forest. Ethan and Lily observed, hearts pounding, as the patrol passed by without noticing. "That was close," Lily whispered, her hands shaking slightly. "Too close." Ethan nodded. "It will happen again. We just have to be ready next time. Every risk teaches us something." Slowly, the Zorath became bolder. They moved through their cities with more confidence, avoided patrols more effectively, and began helping each other in ways that showed courage and intelligence. Even small victories brought hope. One evening, Mira brought Kale and a few others to meet Ethan and Lily in secret. "We want to do more," she said. "We want to be ready if the time comes to fight. We want to protect each other and our people." Ethan looked at each of them. "You are learning fast. That is good. But remember, knowledge is more powerful than weapons. Strategy, patience, and coordination will save more lives than strength alone." Lily added, "We will continue to teach you. We will help you understand the patterns of your oppressors, and we will help you plan. But you must promise to be careful. The Griven are powerful, and any mistake could be deadly." They agreed. From that night, the humans and the Zorath worked together in secret. Lessons continued, trust grew, and small acts of defiance became more common. The Zorath were no longer completely powerless. They were learning that freedom was possible, and that courage could grow in even the darkest places. The Griven, meanwhile, remained unaware of the changes taking place. They continued their patrols, confident that control was absolute. But little by little, cracks were forming in their power. The Zorath were watching, learning, and planning, and the humans, hidden in the shadows, were guiding them, preparing them for the day when hope could become action. Ethan looked at Mira one evening as she carefully led a group of Zorath back to safety. "You are strong," he said quietly. "Stronger than I expected." Mira looked at him, a small smile breaking through her fear.
I have to be.
"For my people, for freedom." Lily smiled softly. "You will teach them courage, and they will teach each other. That is how revolutions begin." As night fell over the glowing forests of Varelia, the humans returned to the horizon. They had planted the first seeds of hope. And while the Griven slept in confidence, the Zorath were quietly learning to rise. Ethan knew the road ahead would be difficult. Danger was everywhere, and one mistake could cost lives. But for the first time, he believed that the impossible might be possible. The enslaved could learn to fight, to survive, and perhaps to win their freedom. And for the Zorath, hope had finally returned. The days passed quietly, but the air was thick with tension. The Zorath had grown stronger, more confident, but the Griven remained dangerous. Ethan Brooks, Lily Thompson, and their small team continued to watch from the shadows, guiding the Zorath carefully. Every step they took was measured. Every lesson was calculated. Yet even with all the preparation, Ethan knew one day the Griven would notice the change. That day came sooner than anyone expected. A small patrol of Griven was passing near a Zorath settlement when Kale and Mira decided to put their training to the test. They had organized a quiet escape route for a group of children who had been forced to work in the towers. The humans watched from the trees as the plan unfolded. "Move slowly," Call whispered to the group. "Stick together. Watch the guards." The Zorath followed his instructions perfectly, keeping low and avoiding open streets. The children clutched each other's hands, fear and hope fighting in their hearts. Mira stayed near the back, keeping an eye on the rear guard. Suddenly, a Griven guard noticed movement. He raised a claw and shouted. The children froze. The others hesitated, unsure whether to run or hide. Ethan's heart pounded.
"Hold steady," he whispered to Lily. "Let them do this themselves."
They can handle it.
Kale made a quick decision.
He threw a small rock to distract the guard, sending him running after the noise. The group moved faster, slipping into a narrow alley that led toward the forest. Mira kept the children calm, whispering encouragement. Almost there. Just a little farther. When they finally reached safety, Ethan and Lily exhaled in relief. The first success was small, but it was meaningful. The Zorath had executed a plan under pressure. They had survived. "That was amazing," Lily said, smiling. "They did it." "They really did it," Ethan nodded. "And the Griven will notice. Next time it will be more dangerous." The humans returned to the horizon to monitor the situation. Jake Collins and Hannah Diaz worked quickly to analyze the Griven patrol patterns. "They'll tighten security soon," Hannah said, frowning at the screen. "They already suspect something. We need to adjust the plan," Jake added. "We can't just teach them small tricks anymore. They need to understand fighting and defense if we want this to succeed." Ethan looked at Lily. "We've been careful, but the time is coming when we have to act more directly. The Zorath are ready to fight, but we need to guide them properly." That night, Mira gathered the Zorath leaders. "We have learned from the humans," she said quietly. "We know we can survive. But we need to plan. We need to fight back, slowly, carefully. We cannot fail." Kale nodded. "We have strength in numbers, and we have knowledge. We have learned how to avoid them, how to work together. But courage alone is not enough. We need strategy, and we will get it." The next few days were a blur of preparation. Ethan and Lily brought new lessons, teaching the Zorath how to use their environment, how to set traps, and how to communicate silently. They practiced small drills, avoiding detection while moving through the city. Each exercise built confidence and coordination. Finally, the day came when the first real strike was planned. The Zorath were going to disable a small Griven communications tower. It was a risky mission, but it would give them a chance to act as a unit and test their skills. Kale, Myra, and a small team approached the tower at night, moving like shadows. Ethan and Lily watched from a nearby ridge, holding their breath. The tower was heavily guarded, but the humans had taught the Zorath to watch patterns, distract guards, and act quickly. Mira signaled to the group. They moved silently, avoiding detection. One Zorath slipped past the main gate and disabled the power line. Sparks flew, lights went out, and alarms began to sound. The guards shouted and ran, but Kale's team had already set the next part of the plan. Using smoke and sound, they led the guards away from the tower. The Zorath worked quickly, destroying key equipment and escaping into the forest. Ethan cheered softly. "They did it. They actually did it." Lily nodded, eyes wide.
"They are ready to fight." But the Griven were angry.
The next day, patrols doubled. Towers were reinforced. Surveillance increased. The Zorath realized that their rebellion could not remain small for long. The humans and the Zorath had to move faster, plan smarter, and take greater risks. Mira gathered the group. "We cannot hide anymore. They will hunt us if we do. We need to strike together. We need to fight for freedom." Kale added, "We are not just surviving. We are rising. Every small victory shows us that we can win. And with the humans' guidance, we can plan the next steps carefully. We will not fail." The humans worked tirelessly, helping the Zorath prepare. They taught them how to use simple weapons, how to defend themselves, and how to act as a team under pressure. Each night, the Zorath grew stronger, braver, and more confident. Then came the day of the first major attack. A supply convoy of Griven was traveling through one of the main streets. The Zorath, led by Kale and Mira, set up ambushes along the route. Ethan, Lily, and the humans watched from a safe distance, their hearts pounding. The convoy entered the trap. The Zorath moved quickly, disabling vehicles, cutting off guards, and using simple tactics to confuse their enemies. The Griven fought back, but the Zorath were prepared. Every move had been planned and practiced. In the chaos, Mira found herself face to face with a Griven guard. She raised a small weapon, aiming carefully. The guard lunged at her, but Kale intervened, pulling her to safety. The humans watched tensely as the fight unfolded. By the time the battle ended, the Zorath had gained the upper hand. Several Grivon were injured. Some fled, and the convoy was destroyed. It was a small victory, but it changed everything. The Zorath had tasted success. They had fought back. Ethan turned to Lily, a mix of pride and worry in his eyes. They did it, but the Griven will retaliate. Soon, the entire city will be on alert. Lily nodded. We knew that would happen. They are ready to fight, but we must prepare for the next stage. This is only the beginning. The Zorath celebrated quietly. It was the first time in generations they had felt strength and hope. Mira stood before her people, speaking with confidence. We can survive. We can fight. And one day, we will be free. Kale added, we are learning from the humans, but we are also learning from each other. We are no longer slaves. We are a people who will rise. The humans returned to the horizon to rest, but sleep came uneasily. They knew the Griven would respond with force. Every small act of rebellion had consequences. Every victory made the next fight more dangerous.
Jake Collins shook his head.
They did well, but this is only the start. The Griven won't sit quietly. We need to prepare for something bigger. Hannah Diaz added, we have taught them some things, but now they need more. If the Griven retaliate, it could get deadly. Ethan sighed, looking out at the city below. We have no choice. The Zorath are ready to fight. We must guide them, but they will lead themselves too. Freedom is never easy. Over the next week, the Zorath continued small strikes. They destroyed supply depots, sabotaged patrol routes, and freed small groups of captives. Each success gave them courage. Each victory made the Griven angrier and more dangerous. Mira and Kael became symbols of hope. The Zorath looked to them for guidance, trusting their decisions. Even the youngest children learned to hide, move, and act quietly. Every small lesson the humans had taught now came to life. The Griven, frustrated and enraged, increased patrols and tightened control over the cities. But the Zorath were ready. Every street, every tower, every alley had been studied. Every weakness had been mapped. They knew they could survive and strike again. Ethan watched it all, heart heavy and proud. They are ready for the real fight, but it will come at a cost. We have to be careful. Millie nodded. They are learning faster than I thought. But courage alone is not enough. They must remain smart and united. That is how they will win. One night, Mira approached the humans quietly. We cannot wait anymore. The Griven will attack soon. We must act before they find a way to destroy us. Ethan placed a hand on her shoulder. You are right. The time for small strikes is over. Now, we plan for the full uprising. And we do it carefully. Step by step, we take back your city. Mira's eyes glowed with determination. We are ready. My people are ready. We will fight for our freedom, and we will not stop. As the sun rose over Varelia, the humans and the Zorath prepared. The first sparks of rebellion had grown into flames. The streets would soon echo with battle cries. The towers would no longer be safe for the Griven, and for the first time in centuries, the Zorath knew what it felt like to have hope. Ethan Brooks clenched his fists, watching the city below. This is it, he said quietly. The rebellion begins now, and nothing will stop it. Lily looked at him, her eyes firm. We will guide them. We will help them. But they will fight, and they will win if they stay united. The wind carried the distant sound of alarms, the first signs of the Griven noticing the small strikes. The Zorath prepared themselves, standing tall despite fear and danger. They had learned to survive, to fight, and to hope. And now, the moment had come to rise. The night over Varelia was filled with tension and determination. The humans had taught the Zorath courage, but the Zorath would now shape their own destiny. The battle for freedom had begun, and there was no turning back. The sun rose slowly over Varelia, casting light on a city that had changed forever. The towers of the Griven still loomed above the streets, but the Zorath were no longer afraid. For the first time in generations, they moved with confidence, with purpose, and with hope. Ethan Brooks and Lily Thompson watched from a ridge near the edge of the city. From their vantage point, they could see the Zorath preparing quietly. Kale and Mira moved among the people, giving orders and encouragement. Every alley, every street, every hidden passage had been planned for the coming battle.
This is it, Ethan said quietly.
Everything we've taught them, everything they've learned, it all comes together today. Lily nodded, her eyes scanning the city below. They are ready, but we must stay careful. The Griven will not go down without a fight. The first strike came at dawn. A small group of Zoroth attacked one of the Griven's outer towers, disabling power lines and setting fires that drew the guards' attention. The humans watched silently, adrenaline pumping. The tower's alarms blared, and Griven soldiers rushed to defend it, only to find themselves ambushed in small, coordinated groups. Mira led a team through a side entrance, moving silently past patrolling guards. She raised her hand to signal the others, and together, they planted devices that would block communications and create confusion among the enemy. KL led another group along the rooftops, using the humans' teachings to avoid detection. They dropped small tools and traps that slowed the guards and forced them into vulnerable positions. Ethan and Lily held their breath as the city erupted into chaos. The Zorath had learned quickly, and they fought with courage and strategy. Every movement was calculated, every strike planned. It was no longer survival, it was rebellion. The Griven responded quickly, but the Zorath were ready. They had studied the patrols, the weapons, and the tower's defenses. They moved like shadows, striking quickly and disappearing before reinforcements could arrive. One Griven soldier cornered a small group of Zorath in a narrow street. Mira, seeing them in danger, leaped forward, throwing a small device that emitted a blinding light. The soldiers were momentarily stunned, and Kale's team moved in to pull the Zorath to safety. Ethan whispered, "They're doing it. They're actually fighting back." Lily smiled, and winning. The battle grew more intense as the day continued. The Zorath moved as one, using everything they had learned from the humans and from each other. Smoke filled the streets, alarms screamed, and the tower shook from sabotage. Yet through it all, the Zorath stayed organized, coordinated, and brave. By mid-afternoon, the first major tower had fallen. The Griven inside were captured or fled, and the Zorath raised their flag over the ruins. It was a symbol of victory, of hope, and of freedom that had been denied to them for centuries. Ethan and Lily exchanged a glance. "This is just the beginning," Ethan said. "They have to push forward or the Griven will regroup." Kale and Mira moved quickly, rallying the Zorath for the next strike. "We fight for every street, every home," Kale shouted. "We fight for our people. We fight for freedom," the Zorath cheered, their voices rising above the chaos. The humans watched silently, proud and careful, knowing their role was guidance, not control. The Zorath were shaping their own destiny. As the sun began to set, the final confrontation approached. The main Griven command tower, the heart of their control, stood at the center of the city. The Zorath knew that defeating it was necessary to secure freedom. Ethan turned to Lily. "We stay back here." "Let them lead. This is their fight now." Lily nodded. "They are ready. I can feel it." Mira led a group toward the command tower, moving quickly but cautiously. Kale's team followed, creating diversions and traps along the streets. The Griven inside were alerted, but the Zorath used the chaos to their advantage, moving silently through shadows, disabling weapons and guards along the way. Inside the tower, the Griven commander, a massive creature with glowing red eyes, realized the city was under attack. He roared orders, but the Zorath had already anticipated his moves. They blocked exits, disrupted communications, and cut off reinforcements. Mira reached the top floor, her heart pounding. She found the commander waiting, a weapon raised. He lunged at her, but Kale intercepted, engaging in a fight that tested everything they had learned. Ethan and Lily watched through the scope of a distant drone, holding their breath. The struggle was intense, but Mira and Kale moved with skill, using strategy and courage instead of relying solely on strength. Finally, the commander fell, subdued by the combined efforts of the Zorath. The city erupted in cheers as news spread. The main tower had fallen. The Griven who remained fled, realizing that their control was broken. The Zorath celebrated cautiously. They had won, but they knew vigilance was necessary. The humans moved in to help stabilize the city, providing medical aid, technology, and guidance for rebuilding. Ethan looked at Mira and Kale. "You did it! You led your people to victory." Mira smiled, exhausted but proud. "We learned from you, but we fought for ourselves. This victory is ours." KL nodded. "The Griven will not return. Our people are free, and we will make sure it stays that way." Over the next days, the Zorath worked to secure the city. They freed more captives, rebuilt damaged structures, and established systems of defense. The humans continued to assist, but always as advisors, never leaders. The Zorath discovered their strength, their intelligence, and their unity. They had been enslaved for centuries, but now they were free. The city, once a place of fear, became a symbol of hope and resilience. Mira stood on a balcony overlooking the streets, watching her people rebuild. "We will never forget this," she said quietly to Kale. "We were slaves, but we became something greater. We are free, and we will protect it." Kale placed a hand on her shoulder. "Freedom is earned, and today we have earned it. But we must continue to work together. Strength comes from unity." Ethan and Lily watched from the horizon as the city glowed with life. Humans had helped, but the Zorath had fought for themselves. Their courage and determination had changed the future of their world. Jake Collins, monitoring the city, shook his head in awe. They did it. Against all odds, they did it. Ana Diaz nodded. "And we helped them realize their potential. That's what humans can do: guide, teach, inspire." But the Zorath made it happen. As night fell over Veralia, the city was calm for the first time in centuries. Fires had been extinguished, the Griven were gone, and the Zorath celebrated quietly, but with pride. The humans prepared to leave, knowing their mission had succeeded. Mira approached Ethan and Lily. "Thank you," she said simply. "You believed in us when no one else would. But it was our people who made it real."
Ethan smiled.
"You proved that hope, courage, and unity can overcome even the darkest oppression. Remember that. The universe will test you again, but you are ready." Lily added, "Never forget the lessons you learned, but also trust your strength. You are capable of more than you know." The Zorath cheered once more, their voices carrying across the city. They had been slaves, but now they were free. They had risen, fought, and claimed their future. The humans prepared to leave, their hearts full of pride and relief. They had helped spark a revolution, but it was the Zorath who had carried it to victory. Ethan looked down at the city one last time. "We came to help, but we leave knowing they are strong enough to shape their own destiny. That is the greatest reward of all." Lily smiled softly. "They fought for their freedom, and they will continue to fight for a better world." As the horizon lifted off, leaving the glowing city behind, the humans watched silently. Below, the Zorath rebuilt, healed, and celebrated. A new era had begun, a world where courage, hope, and unity had defeated oppression. The Grived were gone, their power broken. The Zorath had exacted their vengeance not with cruelty, but with strategy, courage, and intelligence. Freedom had been won, and it was stronger than anyone could have imagined. Mira and Kale stood together, looking over their city. "We are free," Mira said, "and we will never forget what it took to get here." Kale nodded. "Our people are stronger now, and we will protect our freedom no matter what comes next." Ethan Brooks and Lily Thompson looked at each other, knowing that humanity had played a small role in something far greater. The Zorath had discovered their own strength, and in doing so had inspired the humans as well. The sun set over Varelia, bathing the city in golden light. The towers, once symbols of fear, now stood as monuments to courage and resilience. The Zorath had risen. They were free, and nothing would ever take that away.